Titans.
Yo.
The Titans beat the Browns, but Shedeur joined a very historic club during his third NFL start.
Yeah.
He's the first Browns quarterback with 300 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, and a rush touchdown in the same game since 1950. He's also the 7th rookie in the Super Bowl era to throw for 360 yards, have 4 total touchdowns, rush or pass in the same game, joining C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Marcus Mariota, Andrew Luck, and Matthew Stafford. But despite, got me frustrated because I'm mad at him.
You won't believe this actually happened. Moments after the game of his life, Shedeur Sanders gets benched, the Browns sideline turns into a soap opera, and suddenly the coach is public enemy number 1. Fans are stunned, analysts are spiraling, and the internet is sharpening its pitchforks. What was supposed to be a victory lap instantly morphs into chaos, confusion, and conspiracy-level outrage. How does a breakout performance end with a bench seat and a franchise on fire? The NFL crown just tilted, and chaos reigned.
Kevin Stefanski should have been fired last night.
Yep.
He will be fired at the end of this season. He did not want Shedeur in the first place. He has tried everything in his power to keep Shedeur from succeeding this entire football season, to the point of sabotage. That was pure sabotage yet again, as he made Shedeur take the trot of shame, as I call it. You make him, you force him off the field for a play that he would have made because he'd been making that play.
The stadium was still buzzing, the kind of electric hum that lingers after something special just happened. And then, out of nowhere, the sideline energy flipped, like someone killed the power mid-concert.
Stefanski took him out with the game on the line. Ocho.
Yeah.
What I don't understand.
Yes, sir.
When you're down 14, you score a touchdown, you're at home. Why are you going for 2?
Yeah.
Kick the PAT, and guess what, Ocho? You're down 7. Now you score a touchdown and kick the PAT. Guess what, Ocho? We tied.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's no explanation behind what Stefanski is doing. There's none at all. But what I can tell you is I can tell you that his job is secured, which is why he's making.
Shedeur Sanders had just carved up the field like he was late for a dinner reservation, delivering the kind of performance analysts spend weeks fantasizing about on telestrators. Precision, control, confidence. The whole highlight reel package.
It's Kevin Stefanski. The Kevin Stefanski situation is tough. Shady, you put out a tweet earlier today. You said, how can Shedeur be great when his own coach is holding him back? I can't wait to hear Kevin's excuse after they sat him for the 2-point conversion play to go tie the game.
How crazy was that, though, dog?
Yeah,
I cannot stand that coach, yo.
Fellas, I mean, the
Can
Stefanski,
I advocate for the devil first?
Whoa, like already?
Let me
Already?
we got
more
advocate
tweets
for
to get to.
Let me jump to advocate.
And in the middle of that momentum, when the crowd was ready to declare a new era, the Browns calmly escorted their hottest hand straight to the bench as if he had just spilled Gatorade on the playbook. And that's when the NFL collectively blinked.
Kevin Stefanski threw that game today. I 100% guarantee you he threw that game today, and I'm going to tell you why. He threw that game because right now, if the NFL draft were to happen today, the Cleveland Browns are sitting 5th in the NFL draft. They're sitting 5th. They have the 5th overall pick right now. They don't want to win no more games. So what we saw from Shedeur today, Shedeur was sensational. He was exceptional. The man was picking the Titans defense apart. Yeah, he had an interception, whatever, who cares? But on that last drive,
because in what universe does a quarterback play the game of his life and immediately earn a front row seat to watch someone else finish the job? It was like watching a chef pull a perfect steak off the grill and replace it with a frozen corn dog for the final course. Confusion didn't just enter the building. It signed a multi-year lease and started redecorating. The reaction didn't take long. It never does. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree wired by caffeine and bad decisions. Analysts started backpedaling mid-sentence. Fans went from cheering to investigative journalism in under 30 seconds. And hovering over it all was the quiet, unshakable question that refused to be bench-pressed out of existence. How in the world did Stefanski look at this situation and think, yes, this is the correct move? Shedeur had just delivered a performance that usually locks players into starting roles, endorsement deals, and branded cleats by sunrise. Every drive felt like a message being sent directly to the future. And then, without ceremony, that future was folded up and placed next to the water bottles. It wasn't just a benching. It was an emotional plot twist. One second, the Browns had a hero in motion. The next, they had a philosophical debate unfolding in real time. Was this a strategy? Was this discipline? Or was this the football equivalent of changing lanes into oncoming traffic just to prove a point?
So you want every
rookie on the field except for Shedeur.
That's right.
Then you got a backup tackle running the over route. That's what we came up with for the game? Are you saving? Yeah. That's your best 2-point play. You can't be saving your best 2-point play because you ain't going to the playoffs. So it ain't like you saving them. We gonna save our best shit for the playoffs. I just can't, bro. Like, you take your hottest rookie out and let every other rookie on the field touch the bitch.
Yeah, and Larvidan's undrafted, like...
The most impressive part wasn't even the benching itself. It was the sheer confidence behind it. The kind of confidence that suggests a coach who believes chess is best played upside down. Stefanski didn't hesitate. No dramatic consultation, no visible second guessing. Just a matter-of-fact substitution that sent shockwaves through the fan base faster than a missed extra point in overtime. And the crowd's response said everything. The cheering didn't fade softly, it collapsed. What followed was that strange blend of stunned silence and nervous laughter that only happens when people suspect they just witnessed something historically questionable. Analysts suddenly discovered entire dictionaries of disbelief. Casual fans turned into armchair tacticians with charts, graphs, and emotional PowerPoint presentations. Because no matter how you sliced it, this decision didn't feel like a strategy. It felt like a magic trick performed with no explanation and even less payoff. What made it sting even more was the timing. If this had happened after a shaky performance, there would have been debates, sure, but at least they'd make sense. Instead, it happened after Shedeur delivered the kind of outing that usually earns standing ovations and commemorative towels. The defense was reeling. Momentum was firmly on Cleveland's side. The entire rhythm of the game had aligned perfectly, and then the conductor walked off the stage mid-symphony.
Yo, you just said the design was perfect, right? You just said a running back is reading a corner, and he's a rookie at that? Wait, not no veteran running back, a rookie, right? Dog, what are we talking about here? Your quarterback has a hot hand. Hot hand is confident.
Yeah.
He's feeling himself.
Yeah.
Keep him in the game. Yo, you talking about reading a corner, so he didn't go with the corner.
Yeah.
So he thought about it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? What is this?
Shady players got to make plays, though, G.
Bro, I'm not putting the ball in my rookie running back's hands.
So you'd rather put it in your rookie quarterback.
And suddenly the Browns weren't just playing football anymore. They were starring in a live-action case study titled How to Kill Your Own Momentum in 3 Easy Steps. Stefanski's decision instantly became less about football and more about philosophy, the kind of move that forces everyone to ask whether this was about game management, internal politics, or an intense loyalty to an analytics spreadsheet that refuses to feel joy. Somewhere in that decision was a rationale, theoretically. But whatever algorithm produced it might need to be checked for emotional awareness and basic vibes. Football, at its core, is a game of rhythm and confidence. And Shedeur had both in abundance. And the benching didn't just disrupt one player, it disrupted the entire ecosystem of the game. Suddenly the timing was off. Play calling felt tighter. The energy shifted from aggressive to cautious, from electric to awkward. The Browns took a living, breathing momentum wave and opted to surf directly into a wall. The NFL may forgive bad throws. It even forgives bad seasons. But what it rarely forgives are decisions that make everyone stop and say, wait, what? And that's exactly what this was. A collective pause button slammed across the league. Fans weren't just confused, they were insulted on a spiritual level. Because watching a quarterback dominate only to be benched immediately afterward feels like being promised dessert and then served the menu again. It violates the unspoken contract between team and supporter. If it's working, you let it work until it stops working. You don't interrupt success as it owes you money.
I do have a question for the Browns, whether it's for the OC or Stefanski. Final moments of the game. Shedeur takes that team all the way down. They score a touchdown. You're down by 2. You have to go for a 2-point conversion to tie it up. Why take Shedeur off the field? I think they did a direct snap and they tried to do a double reverse. And I think Quinshon Junkins had the ball in his hand. But why get tricky at that moment in the game? Just let your young QB, have a moment and push this game into overtime. I didn't understand that. Just overcomplicating the moment.
And yet, there sat Shedeur on the sideline, helmet still warm, while the game marched forward like it hadn't just discarded its hottest storyline. The camera kept drifting back to him, because of course it did. Nothing generates tension like a star player who's suddenly a spectator. Every glance at the sideline asked the same silent question, is this really happening? Meanwhile, Stefanski stood firm, face composed, posture steady, the look of a man who believes deeply in his decision even as the universe around him politely disagrees. It wasn't the face of doubt. It wasn't even the face of stubbornness. It was the face of someone who'd already justified everything internally and had zero interest in reading the room. And that's where the sarcasm of the situation truly ignited, because this wasn't just a tactical call, it was a statement. The internet, of course, did not handle this with restraint. Clips from the game were instantly paired with the benching like a before and after that no one asked for. Memes multiplied at a speed that suggested global coordination. Every throw Shedeur had completed became Exhibit A in the unofficial case against common sense.
I want to know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. Why do you take Shedeur Sanders off the field for that 2-point conversion? That was the most humiliating game I have ever watched as a Browns fan. Kevin Stefanski needs to be fired tomorrow. Shedeur Sanders, in his third ever start as a rookie, first of all, had a phenomenal game. Damn near 400 yards passing, 4 total touchdowns, played great, played to...
Some fans tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was precautionary. Maybe there was an unseen injury. Maybe there was a pre-planned rotation that no one bothered to explain. But each theory collapsed under the same stubborn reality. The move arrived at the worst possible moment and felt disconnected from everything that had just happened on the field. And that's how a benching turned into a referendum. Not just on Shedeur's role, but on Stefanski's instincts. The coach wasn't just being second-guessed. He was being crowdsourced into a national debate about whether logic still has a seat in NFL decision-making. Suddenly, every Browns game from here on out gained an extra subplot titled, "Will he do it again?" Because once you bench a quarterback after the game of his life, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Every drive becomes a test. Every substitution becomes suspicious. Every clipboard glance becomes a potential conspiracy. The job doesn't stop being about wins and losses. It becomes about narrative containment. And Shedeur's narrative was building momentum fast before it was interrupted.
My initial thought was, wow, that was big of Lima. Like, he didn't have to concede all of that right then and there. And while admitting basically that he just fell victim to the idea that the Browns were pushing him all sorts of information, and like a sucker at the poker table, he was buying it. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm shocked he did that. Behind the scenes about Shedeur's lack of development and all this other stuff, and that it was hogwash. And meanwhile, I was getting shouted down by people like Lima who were telling me, no, you're not talking to the right people. Everyone that's there says he can't even do anything, can't even hold a football. It's like, no.
He wasn't just playing well, he was announcing himself. The pocket presence was calm, the reads were crisp, the passes weren't hopeful, they were intentional. He looked like someone settling into a role that fit him perfectly, which made the sudden benching feel less like management and more like interruption therapy. The locker room dynamics didn't escape scrutiny either. Teammates notice everything. They feel momentum in their bones. When the quarterback is in a groove, everyone moves differently. The line blocks with extra confidence. Receivers run routes with sharper conviction. The whole offense breathes in sync. Pull that thread suddenly, and the rhythm doesn't just pause, it stumbles. Stefanski's reputation took an immediate hit, not in competency, but in trust. Coaches survive in the margins of belief. Players believe in systems. Fans believe in direction. Analysts believe in patterns. This move cracked all three at once. It didn't just invite questions, it demanded them. How could this possibly be the right call? What analysis justifies removing the best performing player at his hottest moment? What spreadsheet out there treats momentum like a rounding error? It felt like watching someone check the weather mid-hurricane and decide to host a picnic anyway. As the game wound down, the benching became the story more than the result. Highlights weren't just about touchdowns anymore. They were framed by absence.
You may be a nice guy, Kevin, but what you did today just fueled the storm of people asking you. Go ahead, ask the same questions now. All you reporters, it's absurd that Kevin would sabotage. You took your quarterback out of the game when he brought you back from the depths of Hades, dropped dimes, picked himself off the cold turf after he got hit time after time after time, walked his way up the field, threw a dime to Harold Fannin Jr., and you take the football out of his hands?
Every replay of Shedeur's earlier brilliance doubled as an accusation against the decision that followed. The performance was no longer just impressive, it became Exhibit A in a national coaching cross-examination. By the time the final whistle approached, the game itself felt strangely secondary. The real aftermath was already forming in social feeds, sports shows, and group chats. Stefanski wasn't just trending, he was being dissected. Every past decision was retroactively reevaluated through the lens of this moment. Was this an outlier or a pattern hiding in plain sight? The irony of it all was unmistakable. Coaches preach competition, readiness, and and execution. Shedeur delivered all three at once, and the immediate response was a seat on the bench and a sudden doctoral-level debate about rotation philosophy. It was as if excellence had triggered a glitch in the system. No matter how Stefanski frames it later, this moment is now welded into the season's storyline. It will follow every press conference, every lineup card, every in-game adjustment. The memory of that performance, followed by that benching, will hover like an unresolved chord. If Shedeur struggles in the future, this moment will be cited as a confidence fracture. If he thrives, it will be framed as an obstacle he overcame. If the Browns stumble, it will be resurrected as the day they unplugged their own spark mid-charge. Either way, the benching has already outlived the drive it interrupted.
He was the only one. With 4.5 minutes left, Shedeur Sanders took this team down the field, punched in a scramble touchdown on the ground to make this 31-23. Kick the extra point, Kevin. We still don't know why you decided to go for 2 there, but you didn't get it. So now it's an 8-point game instead of 7. And what does Shedeur Sanders do? The next time he gets the ball right back down the field, scores a touchdown. Scores a touchdown. You are 1 2-point conversion away now from tying this game up and going to overtime. And I want to know what's going on with Kevin Stefanski.
Across the league, coaches took mental notes, some as cautionary tales, others as philosophical permission slips. Because in a sport obsessed with control, this was a reminder of how quickly a single choice can tilt perception. One move turned a rising star into a silent question mark and elevated a routine game into a league-wide debate. And at the center of it all remains that unavoidable, stubborn line of thought. How could this possibly be the right call? Shedeur had just played the best game ever and then got sent to the bench. All that film, all that calculation, all that analysis, only to arrive at a decision that felt like it was made in a parallel universe where momentum is imaginary and hot hands come with expiration tags. The Browns didn't just bench a quarterback, they bench pressed the logic of the moment and dropped it directly onto the national stage. And now, with the NFL watching closely, every future move by Stefanski will carry the silent subtitle of that unforgettable question. What exactly was the analysis here? Because one thing is certain, the league turned, the narrative shifted, and a single substitution became the loudest signal Cleveland sent all season.